Hey, what is going on? It is 12 noon on Friday, which means it's time for this week's episode of State of Real Estate. My name is John Carissimo, and every Friday, we're here brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here to help you mastermind to grow your real estate business. And in the age of the internet, if we have not already been in the age of the internet, I don't see the internet going anywhere anytime soon. It's really only going to become more and more a part of our lives. And the reason why is because it creates efficiency. It creates a lot of opportunities that didn't exist before the internet. And one of the big opportunities on the real estate side of things is the ability to get an abundance of leads from multiple sources online. This could be something as simple and straightforward as if you're buying leads from Zillow. That's probably the most turnkey out of any of these ones here, or the most done work for you. Some of the more expensive leads compared to some other options, but we're going to break some of that down. But really what I want to focus on today is working these leads. So whether they're coming from Zillow or your own website, or maybe you have a Facebook lead ad, or you're just getting messages from friends and family members, and what are the nuances of somebody on the internet versus, if we rewind back and, I'm sure we're not having people watching this that have done real estate before the internet. Maybe you are, and if you are, welcome. But this topic is probably more so for people who haven't worked internet leads before. And whether that's, if you're already practicing real estate, you probably are working internet leads to some point, but maybe you're trying to figure out how to do that better. Maybe you didn't have the greatest success working internet leads. Well, if you try to treat these internet leads like a non-internet lead, for lack of a better term, you're gonna set yourself up for failure. So there's some particular things you want to keep in mind as you build a strategy to work internet leads, because they're not going to turn, it's not saying, hey, I want to buy this house, and they're submitting an offer online. I mean, sometimes you get that lucky and it is that easy, but a lot of times there's back and forth, there's communications, there's where they might be interested and then they cool off, and then they warm up and then they cool off. And so a lot of this is going to be the follow-up, and that's really a big part of the strategy here. But you could also lose these internet leads right from the get-go, right from the beginning, and we're going to talk about how to avoid that. So whether you're already working internet leads and you're trying to get better at it, or you've never done an internet lead before and you want to figure out how, get ready, because that's what today's episode's about. I'm John Carissimo. You're watching State of Real Estate.
You are watching
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Alrighty, welcome back to this week's episode of State of Real Estate, where today's topic is working internet leads. So whether, again, you're doing the leads through Zillow, through Homes.com, Trulia, Realtor.com, maybe you have your own website set up, maybe you're subscribing to some lead generation service, otherwise, however it is that you're getting leads online, let's first just go over the criteria of what somebody online may be. The number one is that there is a lot of unknowns inherently. Why are there so many more unknowns than if this were just somebody that maybe were to call you, let's say? Let's say the internet isn't involved. Maybe a friend gave them your business card and they called you. Well, that shows somebody who is serious about moving forward. And that is not always the case with internet leads. So there's a lot of unknowns. You're going to have a gamut of quality, I should say, for leads, if you're determining quality based on whether or not they're ready to do business right now. Listen, all of these leads will be business, just maybe not today. And they definitely won't be business if you botch the whole follow-up after this, because that's the main thing to understand, that the unknowns that exist, we've lowered the bar to make it super easy to browse real estate, to look through properties that are available, to understand the market to a certain degree, to research neighborhoods you might want to move to. So people are spending a lot of time online trying to figure out these unknowns, And we also have these unknowns about the client. How serious are they? Did they just start looking, or have they been looking for a while? So how do we overcome these unknowns? So depending on where the leads are coming from, let's say, the source, that might answer some of these questions. So, for example, if you're subscribing to Zillow leads, now, compared to some other options out there, leads that you would get from, say, Zillow are usually going to be a little bit higher intent. Now, what does that mean? Higher intent. Higher intent means they have higher intentions of actually doing business with you. That's going to be more on the spectrum, more on the scale, closer to them picking up the phone and giving you the call. Because they're on a website there to showcase real estate for sale, and they're requesting information about a property that is for sale on this marketplace of properties for sale. So sales are on the mind from a source like that, as is most websites that are showcasing real estate. But let's say the source isn't that they were on Zillow. Let's say they were on Facebook, and maybe you had an ad on Facebook that appealed to them, and they're like, oh yeah, that looks like a nice house. Maybe they weren't in the market at all for a house, and they see either an ad or a post that you make on Facebook about a property. They might click on it, go on your website, and even register. But is this person somebody that wants to buy that house? Now, if they give you their contact info, they're maybe at least a little bit more interested. But if you think again of the source, where you're maybe just interrupting their social media and they get diverted and sidetracked onto the website, this might be a high-intention buyer, or it might be just somebody just interested, just wanting to find out more. Very low intentions, or at least currently. And what's important is you're identifying this. So understanding the source will help you answer some of these unknowns, but then any sort of really tracking that you can do. So if you want to play the long game with these leads, you're probably going to need more than just Zillow to be able to accomplish that. So like I said, Zillow, they're going to be some of the more expensive leads, and that's because they're high intention. So it's, again, they're not perfect leads, don't get me wrong. There's going to be a lot of people that aren't high intentioned, but generally speaking, in comparison to other lead sources, it's going to be a little bit higher intentions of people. Again, a little bit more actively, maybe a little bit more serious. That doesn't mean that you won't get people who aren't serious. You absolutely will, but typically speaking, maybe a little bit more serious. But again, that's also going to come at a cost. And then also when it comes down to actually, okay, tracking and understanding long-term, again, playing the long game on this, this is where you really need to have your own ecosystem. So Zillow is an ecosystem, and you could pay to siphon leads out of that ecosystem that is Zillow. That's essentially what you're doing. You're paying to siphon off people from Zillow. And trust me, there's tons of realtors out there that are able to run very profitable businesses by doing so. But there's a lot more to it than just the leads. It's not just the leads. There's no one source of leads where, oh, you got to find the right source. No. Any source of leads can result in business. Some of them might be slightly better than others, but again, usually the cost of the differences show the difference in the quality of the leads. The higher quality leads are going to cost more, the lower quality leads are going to cost less, but now, since they cost less, you can afford more of them. And now that you have more of them, you're probably going to end up with the same amount of high intention leads as you would, plus all these low intention leads. And the low intention leads, this is what you could play the long game on. But again, you got to have your own ecosystem. Now, what do I mean by your own ecosystem? Well, basically, at the very least, your own website. And now, how do you get them on your website as opposed to Zillow? Well, there's a lot of ways. There's a lot of angles that you could have to position yourself as a superior option to other property search sites that are out there. Your local knowledge, your local expertise can be very valuable, especially when you're playing the long game. Now let's make a quick comparison here. Just to be a little bit more clear about the short game versus the long game, because you do have to balance both of these out. Your short game is your business right away, your high-intentioned leads, the people that are ready to buy or ready to sell pretty immediately. That's the business that you can count on today. That's the leads that you want to be most actively working to convert them not just into leads, but actually into contracts where you'll eventually get paid commission for them. That's what's in your short game. And that's what you focus on at first when you're starting a real estate business, because you've got bills to pay. You got to get some money. You got to get some cash flow coming in. You got to focus on the short game first. Now, the long game, this is what's going to ultimately build your real estate empire. This is going to pay your bills. Whatever your current bills are, whatever your situation is, whether you're just starting out in real estate or you've got a thriving real estate business, your short game pays the bills. And hopefully eventually those bills are going to include a salary for yourself. Now, the long game is what ultimately you're doing to invest in the future of your business. And so when you advertise, or really any which way you're getting leads, because even if you don't spend a penny on advertising, you might pick up leads through just your sphere of influence, just through networking, maybe through, if you have kids, whatever events or clubs or communities they may be involved in, whether that's PTAs or sports, or maybe you have pets and there's things that other pet owners you have in common with, or whatever it is that you might be networking from. That's a perfect example of playing the long game. But the problem is, if you focus too much on that long game strategy, you're not going to be able to pay the bills, because again, that's what the short game is for. The short game is your business now. And the long game is your business tomorrow. And ultimately, building a successful real estate business needs to balance the both of these, because yes, you always got to pay your current expenses, your bills, cover your costs, and also be able to make a little bit of money, because it's not enough just to break even. That usually won't get you ahead. Just breaking even won't get you ahead. You won't be able to play the long game without profits from your short game. You use the profits from your short game to invest in your long game, to invest in your business for tomorrow, to build your business into what you ultimately want it to be. So this is usually a little bit more self-explanatory when it comes to working leads, because these are the people that are active, that they are basically ready to purchase or ready to sell. And so it becomes a little bit more obvious of, oh, I need to go show you houses, or oh, we need to go sign this listing agreement, or oh, we need to do this, because they're basically raising their hand saying, yes, I'm ready. Now, the long game, you have to play it differently. You can't do this for this. If you're taking this level of action in your long-term contacts and leads, that's going to result in you burning yourself out, and that's going to sacrifice your short game. So you have to have automated ways to keep track of it, and this is really a CRM. A CRM, a website. Something where you can keep track of every time they come back into your ecosystem, they come back into your website, or every time they text you, or every time they call you. This all needs to be, your information needs to be centralized in some sort of database. That's essentially what your CRM is. Now, you could play the short game without these tools, but if you want to be able to play the long game, there's no way you're going to be able to keep track of every potential lead that you come across. Because again, as I said, if you try to do the short-term activities for the long-term contacts where they're not ready right now, you're going to be wasting a lot of time, because the things that we're doing are very, I don't want to say this without coming across wrong, but they're high value. When you actually calculate your hourly salary, wage, or whatever it is that you want to call it, based on the hours it is that you're working towards deals, and calculate that based off of the commission you're earning and the hours you spent working that deal, you'll realize that you're paid very highly. Now, what is it that drags down that hourly rate? Well, it's all the things you have to do that aren't actually generating revenue, that aren't for contracts right now. And again, that's the contracts tomorrow. And long term, this will pay off. But again, this is all about the balance in this here. So what your CRM, your database, your website, what that's going to allow you to do to work these internet leads in the long game is to really nail the follow-up. And you're going to need that as well for your clients that are actively purchasing when something happens and the deal blows up, and whether it's that it turns out they can't qualify, or there's some issue with their credit or taxes or something like that, where it puts a buffer, it puts a damper, it puts a pause on how soon they're able to purchase. They still are willing to do it, but they got to wait like 3, 4, 5, 6 months or whatever it is, given I don't know what the situation is there. But if you come across those situations, that's where you're going to move contacts from your short game into your long game here. What a lot of agents do, and this is why a lot of agents struggle to develop long-term success, long-term sustainable success, is that they don't put any emphasis on the long-term strategy. They're focusing on getting the money now to pay the bills, to pay themselves, taking the money and run, as they would say, rather than reinvesting in the future of your business, the business tomorrow. Because this will burn you out if you're constantly in this cycle of trying to hunt for deals I need right now, and where am I going to find my next deal, when you already have a pipeline of clients getting ready to work with you. That takes a lot of stress out of the equation right here. But you've got to set up the systems and processes to manage this effectively, because you will not be able to do it on your own with your own human effort. We have a very low capacity for the quantity of people that we could actively keep in touch with if we're solely using our manual efforts alone. So what do we need to do? We need to bring in automations. In automations, this is again where the internet is a amazing gift. Internet and technology can be an amazing gift to your business, to take your business to new levels. These are opportunities that did not exist before the internet. This whole automation thing, if we think back to before computers and whatnot, and maybe we still have phones, if all you had was the phone and you just had to keep calling people or maybe sending them letters or sending stuff in the mail, and that was your only way to follow up with them, things moved a lot slower. Business moves a lot faster now because communication has gotten a lot faster, and that's because there's a lot more avenues for communication, and there's ways for us to be able to automate this as well. And a good website CRM type of platform, there's a ton of them that are out there, will have a lot of these features built into them where they tie into basically your ecosystem. And now, again, going back to the beginning of this, can you do internet leads without your own website? You can. Again, if you just sign up and subscribe to something like Zillow, where you're siphoning the leads off their platform, or maybe Realtor.com or Homes.com or Trulia.com, whatever website it may be that's selling you leads, what are you doing with those leads that would normally fall into the long game? Are you putting them in your long game strategy, or are they slipping through the cracks? And there could be a lot of business that slips through the cracks. So again, a lot of times with that long-term strategy, you've got to start to develop your ecosystem to get them in orbit around you. Imagine you're the sun and you're trying to collect as many things. You're trying to get as many things to orbit you as possible, as many clients to orbit you. You got to keep them in orbit, but you got to have some pull. You got to have some gravitational pull to keep them in. What is that gravitational pull? That's your content. That's your information that you're disseminating to them. Your marketing, essentially. You're remarketing to your current leads. Why do you want to remarket and retarget your current leads? So that way they don't forget who you are. So that way they can see you as the expert that you are. That way you can showcase what you do, how you do it, the information that you have to share. And there's a lot of methods you have to, again, leverage automations and technology to do a lot of this work for you. And this could just be something as simple as email follow-ups. Email follow-ups are not new at all. There's all these email websites. If you're CRM, I would highly recommend you get some sort of website CRM that has this built in, because it's a lot easier than reinventing the wheel with something like MailChimp or one of these other systems that are out there that allow for basically complete customization, but you have to literally write every single email and understand how to tie it all into your system and everything like that. So But at the very least, you could sign up for some. I think MailChimp you could still get for free. You go sign up and you could put probably 1,000, I don't know, 500. Go check it out. I'm pretty sure they still do something for free on there if you don't want to spend any money into this. This is a good way to just at least keep track of. If you don't have a website yet, if you don't have some big thing, at least go sign up for one of these. You could probably get at least for free, or not just something cheap, but something to start keeping track. Because you'll kick yourself after the fact of all the leads you forgot about and lost, because eventually they will be ready. But it's not about just putting them in a list and forgetting about them. Then you want to build out email follow-ups, text messages. Text messages can be automated as well. There's all those services where you could subscribe to text message updates and things like that. And now again, it helps if you have your own property website, especially if you have on that website what they're looking for, real estate. They're interested in looking at real estate. And you may have heard me say pros and cons about having your own real estate website, but ultimately, is it important right away, the first thing you need to do? No. Because again, even if you don't have a website, you can go sign up for one of these free little email follow-up things. And why would you do that? Well, because you're trying to make this all work. And these websites can get really expensive. They're really powerful, but only if you know how to use them. And it takes time to understand and learn how to use these. And these can be very costly to sign up for something like this. So you want to start with really just the fundamentals at first, but when you are ready to start investing money into the long-term growth of your business, that's where I would highly recommend that you invest in a website, but not just something that you're setting up on your own, something that is a tried and true system. There's tons of different CRM website platforms that are out there that have all kinds of different features and tools and capabilities and testimonials and price points and all kinds of things like that. And also your broker might even provide something like this as well. Maybe the one your broker provides you don't like, so you could, of course, subscribe to something else as well. Or maybe your broker is already paying a lot of money to have some cutting-edge software. That's also, if you're trying to figure out who's the right broker for me, something to keep in mind. If you're a high-tech type of person, you probably do want to do this internet lead type of stuff, first and foremost, maybe. If you're a low-tech person, you might want to put this on the back burner and focus on more old school, as they say, or more direct type of prospecting strategies. This falls more along the advertising realm of things. But you still have to work these leads when they come in. And the way you work your short term is the same way you work your long term with emails, with text messages, except for over here, you're going to probably work in more phone calls on the short-term side. More phone calls. You might even have some appointments. Phone calls, appointments, maybe a Zoom meeting type of thing, a video conference. Would you do those things on the long term? Maybe at first, but then once you identify that maybe they're not too serious right now, or they want to keep looking, or they're wanting to wait until their kids finish school, or whatever it is that is like, yeah, we're interested, but not right this moment, that's the long-term type of clients. Yeah, definitely roll out the red carpet to welcome them in and make sure you're probing in on them every so often with those more direct touches. But ultimately, you're going to give less direct attention to your long-term contacts and prospects. But it's not going to seem like that to them. It's going to seem like the right amount of contact because it's going to be more passive methods of staying in touch with them. The emails, the text messages, the things that don't necessarily always require a response, where they might want to take that information and say, okay, cool. I don't have anything I want to do with this information right now, but I appreciate you giving that to me. That's what people are, again, the mindset in this long-term type of realm here. Whereas in the short term, where they're more actively ready, they want you more directly involved with them. And this is where your CRM can really be a huge asset to your business, because a good CRM will, and look, these get expensive to get into some of the systems that have some of these more advanced capabilities, but a good CRM will help you score your leads. Now, how do they do that? Well, they have all kinds of artificial intelligence now that can keep track of when people are going on your website, how often they're going on your website, how much they're communicating with you, are they opening your emails? There's a lot of data that's out there where the machines could figure out, hey, these are the people that you should probably give a call to, because maybe they're a little bit more likely to do something than everybody else in your system. So your CRM can basically help you move people from the long term into the short term. See how that's the balance and how they feed into each other? And as you start to grow this long-term business, this is going to grow. You're going to have your long-term business feeding really your short-term business. And now I never recommend you should have your business plateau, but maybe your business is actively growing because you've done so much work over years of building your long-term business where you don't even need to do any sort of advertising, you don't need to do any marketing, and you've just built up a reputation, you've maintained follow-up. Because what's going to happen after you do business with them? Do you just forget about them? No, they go right back over here into your long-term strategy. And they basically just cycle back and forth between these here, with some transactions every now and then between them moving back and forth between these. Or maybe some referrals. And look, there's all kinds of things you could use in the long-term strategy. The long-term strategy, remember, put yourself in the shoes of who you're sending the information to. Think of what information would they be interested in. The long term, they might be more interested in maybe market trends, maybe overviews of different neighborhoods, maybe understanding some real estate investment stuff, just some surface level basic things, just little things here and there. Maybe it's just some sharing about yourself. Maybe you have some sort of neighborhood newsletter. Some way that you're staying in touch with them long term. And remember, in order to really make this work, to keep this in balance, you've got to focus on things over here that don't take as much manual effort, because this does not translate into immediate return on investment. Your long-term business does not translate to immediate return on investment. And as you start to understand this more, you'll be able to more quickly identify your short-term type of clients versus your long-term type of clients as far as their readiness. Are they ready right now, or do you have to play the long game with them? So as you start to kind of feel this out here, you could realize, okay, which side of this it is they need to be on. Do you keep up with the more direct contact, or do you ease back a little bit and still follow up with them, but through the more indirect, more passive, more automated ways where you're not going to get too in their face, but you're going to stay in their mind. You're not going to let them forget about you, but you're not going to be in their face trying to get them to do business right now. You're going to let them start to move over to that gradually. You keep them in their orbit until they start coming towards you. And then you just draw them right in. Oh yes, okay, you're finally ready. Yes, come on in. You've been seeing all the information about how good we are, about how we do this and how we do that, and our knowledge about this neighborhood, and our knowledge about the market, and our knowledge about investing. These can be the best clients because they're so sold on you before they do business with you because of your marketing, if you do this correctly. And then when they're ready to do business with you, it becomes very easy because they trust you. They understand how your business works to a certain degree, better than just somebody off of the street. But again, this is where you've got to invest in the capability to do this, to manage this. Because you can't just manage this in your head. The only thing you're going to be able to manage in your head are the short-term leads. These end up slipping through the cracks. And your CRM, they could help you with reminders of, hey, don't forget to contact this person. Call this person in 30 days because they said they wanted to wait a little while to think about what they want to do. Whatever it is, that you could, again, make little notes in there. Because with internet leads, because of the unknowns, again, really the biggest thing that's unknown is their motivation. How motivated are they? Are they ready right now? Or are we going to play follow-up with them? Are we going to play, hey, stay in touch, draw you in, but we're not going to pull you way in and say, hey, get over here and buy real estate. Say, oh yeah, you're interested in real estate? Yeah, we do real estate. Check out our website. Look at all the properties. Make sure you check it on there because our website updates faster than Zillow, or we have this information that Zillow doesn't, or because we've got these local market reports, or because we've got a whole series of videos on how to buy your first home, or because we've got some sort of value proposition that makes us better than these other websites that you want to go on. So as you can see, when you want to build something like this out, it's not quite just as simple as you just, okay, yeah, I want to pay X amount of dollars for this, and that's just going to be turnkey business. This ultimately is a much greater investment in your long-term success of your business. That is going to require some investment to get these systems set up. And not just the money investment, because you can get a lot of these systems fairly inexpensively, if not some more basic stuff for free. But even if you get it for free, there's still the learning curve that you've got to push yourself through. That's going to cost you. It's costing you time. Remember, your time is money. I don't say that to be cliche, but remember, every minute you take doing something, especially when that minute you're spending is not translating to direct return on investment, you don't want to get too caught up in the long game, especially at first. Yes, this is important to have, but not right away. Because if you focus on this right away, you're focusing on your long-term business, and if you don't have short-term business right now, you're not going to be able to pay the bills. So the short-term business, that's going to come through more direct prospecting, maybe the more higher intention leads through say Zillow or other platforms that you might be able to get more highly interested buyers. For example, with maybe some more generic platforms, people searching on Google are going to be a little bit more likely to buy or sell than, say, somebody that stumbles across your Facebook ad or your Instagram ad or your TikTok ad or whatever of these more display-oriented platforms. Display-oriented meaning that we're just showing you this, we're just displaying it to you, whereas search platforms, you're actively looking for this information. So again, understanding the source of where your leads are coming from are going to help you better understand what side of this spectrum that they're on. And again, depending on where they are here, is how you're going to manage your pipeline. Because that's really what this is. This is just your pipeline. This is the business right now, and this is your long-term business. We're going to take a quick commercial break, but stick with us. I'm John Christopher. You're watching State of Real Estate.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida Real Estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate. Hey, so I want to ask you guys this. Have you ever been on the internet and you're just all of a sudden like, how did I end up here? Some might call it going down the rabbit hole or one thing leading to another, or whatever it may be. But a lot of times you're like, where am I? How did I get here? And whether it's because of ads or a friend that posted about this, who posted about that, or you clicked a link on this website that clicked this, that made you think about this, that made you do that. I mean, if you look at, what we do on the internet, sometimes we're all over the place there. And what will happen, especially when people are looking at all the properties they can, they're trying to take up as much information as possible. The golden rule with internet leads, the most important, and if you don't nail this, nothing else is going to be easy for working internet leads. This is, again, the golden rule. There's all these unknowns, all these things that we're trying to find out, and it's unknown on the side of the user as well as the side of the potential client, on the side of the lead. They don't even know where they are. They don't know what website they're on or who they are or what they're looking at. Ask them. Ask yourself what specific website pages you went on last night, and then go compare that to your website history or whatever it was that you were last on the internet. You don't remember every single thing online, and what's going to happen very quickly, and this is why this is the golden rule for internet leads, what happens very quickly is people forget. The internet is a constant battle for your attention. It's a battlefield for attention. That's what the internet is all about. The internet is all about trying to get your attention. Because no one puts something on the internet unless they're trying to get traffic, they're trying to get eyeballs on it, they're trying to get attention. And so very quickly, as much intention as they have on your website, on your property, or however it is that you get this lead, watch how quickly that's gone. So the golden rule of internet leads, the one thing that if you do not nail this, it's going to be very difficult to have success with internet leads, is immediate action. Immediate action. Right away, as soon as that lead comes in. It doesn't necessarily need to be a phone call, but maybe a text message. If somebody shares with you their phone number, chances are, if it's a valid phone number, they want you to communicate with you through that phone number. And if you wait a day, they're not going to remember who you are. How'd you get my phone number? If you've got a license and you're working internet leads and you've gotten that before, how did you get my phone number? Chances are they don't realize what they just did that resulted in you getting their phone number. And it makes sense if they filled out a form last night and you're now here the next day or 2 days later saying, hey, saw you were on my website. They're going to say, who is this? Who's this scam contacting me? Whereas when you take immediate action, lead comes in, boom, text message goes out. Hey, thanks for visiting our website, abcrealty.com or whatever your website is. So right there, they've got immediately that recognition that, oh, okay, this phone number is that website that I was just on. Yeah, I do like this website. And look how responsive they are. Imagine your client, again, putting yourself in your client's shoes. Imagine that experience they're going through as opposed to, okay, I'm going to request information. I like this house. Okay. All right. I haven't got anything yet. Now let me check out this other website, see if I can find that information there. That's what's going to happen every time without immediate action. If you do not provide that information immediately, whatever information it is that they have, so you gotta know what information they're looking for, at least have a general idea, so that way you can start that contact and say, oh yeah, I see you're looking at this house here. I see you requested information about this property here. What questions do you have? Just opening the door to the conversation. Where, again, you don't necessarily have to sell them that property. That's not your goal. Your goal isn't, oh, a lead came in. How am I going to sell them this house? All right, let me look at the pictures here. Let me look at the pictures. Okay, it's got 3 bathrooms. So many people, myself included, look, I share this with you because this is what I used to do. I was like, okay, I got to know what they requested about this house. All right, let me see if I can find everything I need to know about this here. Yep, yeah. And wasting all this time trying to be 100% prepared for this phone call. And a lot of times when I'd find out, I'd call them up and they'd forget. They were like, well, what were you talking about? And then I eventually realized, I don't know if it was somebody that told me that somewhere, and I think I had been told that, but I didn't want to believe it, I didn't want to hear it, I wanted to be lazy, whatever the explanation or the excuse is. It made me realize that, hey, if you've ever heard that before with internet leads, you got to have immediate response, immediate action. Immediate response or immediate action. That is the golden rule. There is nothing that is more important with internet leads, and really for the most part, almost any leads. Imagine somebody is out in front of a listing that you have and they call the phone number on your sign. How disappointed are they going to be if you don't answer the phone? So them calling you is very similar to the type of action being taken as to them giving you their phone number online. Yes, they're not the one picking up the phone and making the call, but they are the one giving you their phone number. So they're expecting an immediate response. And no, you don't have to sell them on that house right there. You just have to start the conversation. Even if it's just something as simple as, yeah, I'm on the road right now, I'm not in front of a computer. Can you give me a little bit of detail about this property that you're looking at here? See if it refreshes my memory. And just starting that conversation and paying attention to what they're saying and why they're saying it, the tones they're using, and all these higher level, more advanced sales mastery things you could really get into there. But none of that sales mastery matters if you don't have immediate action. None of the follow-up matters if you don't have immediate action, because they're not going to know who you are without immediate action. If this is a lead coming from the internet, they will be distracted, they will be moved on to the next thing, and they'll have forgotten all about you and your website and even that property they were looking at. And so when you do finally reach out to them, you're wasting your time, basically. So immediate action is the crux of the whole working internet leads thing. So nail that first. Get the immediate action down. That's going to help you right away identify the short-term business. Have something very basic at least set up, just maybe some general email follow-ups to get started with managing your long-term business, but slowly as you could afford to, both afford to in terms of investing money, but also afford to in terms of investing time into growing your long-term business by investing in, again, maybe some sort of CRM platform website, and then also investing the time in understanding it and optimizing it. And that takes time. And that's going to take time away from your short-term business, which is why, again, that's not necessarily important to do right away, but it is something you want to work on building as you work on growing your real estate business. So if you take away anything from today, please make it be this, that immediate action is the most important thing with internet leads. If you're not immediately contacting them, call it ADD, call it the internet, call it whatever it is that you want it, their attention will be on something else, and they'll have a hard time remembering why they gave you their information. And if they're not sure why they gave you their information, it's just going to have such a harder time of actually going back to, oh, well, I mean, you said you wanted to find out information about property. Is that not true? Well, it's not that it's not true. It's just that they've lost interest. They had interest, and that's gone away. So now by the time you've called them, we're already looking at something else. Internet already showed us something else cool. We're in the stock market now, or whatever it is that the internet is deeming cool that day. So immediate action, that is important. Do not waste anything with internet leads until you are sure that you are going to be able to immediately respond. And look, depending on how you're running your business, you might not have time. If you're out in the field actually practicing real estate, or maybe you're just doing real estate part-time, you're trying to juggle in generating leads here, well, there's concierge services from a lot of these different lead platforms where they'll help follow up the leads for you. It's going to cost money, but now that helps you buy back your time. And maybe you just employ your own assistant, or maybe you start to build a real estate team, or there's a lot of opportunities, there's a lot of potential it is that you have with this. But again, got to get the basics down of that immediate response, manage your short-term and long-term business. We go on all day about leads. If you like today's episode about working internet leads, maybe you want to learn more about internet leads, let us know in the chat what you're interested in. If you like leads, make sure you hit a thumbs up on this episode as well as any of our other shows that talk about leads, because that's what we use to figure out what information we want to share with you guys. What is it that you're interested in learning about? What expertise can we share with the questions that you have? What answers can we provide? So let us know. Again, hit the like button. That lets us know which content you're most interested in. And to make sure you don't miss out on any of this information, hit the bell icon. That way you get notifications whenever it is that we've got new content, so you can take this information and grow your real estate business. Now, if you don't have your real estate license yet, or you got to do post-licensing, or you want to get your broker license, call us, 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. We have advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way that we can. You can also check us out online at tampaschool.com. That's tampaschool.com. Again, the phone number is 813-333-2676. It's all the time we've got for today. Thank you guys for tuning in, and I'll see you next week.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida Real Estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.
State of Real Estate. Every Friday at 12 noon Eastern Time. Grow your real estate business. You're watching State of Real Estate.